If you can tell, this is a dirty needle. This has been used about 4 times. I am about to go in for delivery.
It's a haunting piece of video. A woman so addicted to heroin that she's shooting up just days before giving birth. Sadly, as the opioid epidemic grows, so too are scenes like this.
In tonight's cover story, Chris Davis shows us the loving family that saved this child and what St. Louis doctors are trying to do to help the youngest victims of the opioid crisis.
Aaron and Phil's lives took a dramatic turn when they fell victim to a contagious disease, baby fever.
We knew that there was something more.
For a while, their nursery sat empty. They considered a surrogate, even becoming foster parents. Then fate walked through the doors of Aaron's workplace, Missouri Network for Opiate Recovery.
I ran into Grayson's mother, who the very next day was going to sign the paperwork to give Grayson up for adoption.
The mother was looking for clean syringes. She's battling addiction to heroin. Aaron is no stranger to addiction. He's a survivor himself and dedicated his life to getting others to do the same. Still, he knew just keeping the mother alive through pregnancy might be a challenge.
We hadn't heard from her in a little bit, and I said, you know, I care about you as a person.
They stayed close to the mother as the due date drew near and were just steps away when she gave birth to their son.
It was a beautiful moment, but there was almost kind of the sigh of, you know, he's here.
His name, Grayson, addicted to heroin since before his first breath. Doctors replaced heroin with morphine in Grayson's veins.
They've given him morphine to help comfort him, and then over a period of time, they start to taper that off.
But with that came agonizing withdrawals and side effects.
His body gets really tense. You could actually take him up by his hands, and his body stays as rigid as a board.
Aaron kept a video diary of the good days.
Today is the big 5 days. Happy birthday, Grayson.
And the bad.
Grayson stayed up from around 2 until about 5:30, crying.
The skin-to-skin contact, the cuddling, the holding, and it's very key to getting them off the medications.
Hey, Grayson.
Grayson is one of the lucky ones with attentive and loving parents. Most addicted babies aren't as lucky, and it's a number that continues to grow by the day. Here in St. Louis, Children's Hospital doctors believe the number of babies born into addiction has nearly doubled in the last 5 years. Despite the growing numbers, Dr. Steve Lau says there's no nationally accepted standard of care for babies born into addiction. He thinks that's partially due to the stigma.
When I first came into this, I probably have the same set of the biases, and some of them are hidden. Some of them are subconscious.
So he's now working with other Missouri doctors to come up with a care plan for other babies born addicted. For Grayson, after spending the first 3 weeks of his life hooked up to machines, it was finally time to go wireless.
One last diaper chain at the Children's Hospital.
With a clean diaper for the road and a graduation cap to mark the occasion.
And then we threw the camera.
The entire family finally got to gather their things and go home together.
It's still kind of all a dream, but we're ready for it.
We checked back in 1 week after the homecoming.
Our life right now exists around bottle feedings and changing diapers.
Grayson no longer needs morphine, but the true test is still to come. His parents are waiting to see if there are any long-term effects from being born addicted to heroin.
Is he gonna have trouble with math when he gets to 4th grade? Maybe. Is that because he's not good at math, or is it because of the NIS? Maybe, we don't know.
However that unfolds, there is one undeniable truth. All 3 members of this family share a new disease: unrelenting and unconditional love.
So how do we fix this problem? Doctors say the first step is just knowing how bad of a problem it is, and one thing that really astonished me is the CDC doesn't actually track how many of these babies are out there across the country, so that really could be a good first step.
So if you're in St. Louis, where do you turn?
So actually within the next few months, BJC Healthcare is actually going to roll out a clinic just designed towards mothers that are dealing with addiction. And that could be a really first step, making sure they're just even taking as simple as steps as doing their prenatal visits and everything like that.
It's remarkable that Grayson went home just 3 weeks. He only spent 3 weeks in the NICU. That's amazing considering the shape he was in when he was born. Where's mom? Is she still going to be in his life, or what's the deal with that?
That's a tricky question. So mom is still addicted. I actually spoke to her sister just today. Basically, the fathers say as soon as she is willing to get help and get treatment, they will make sure that happens. They have those resources through MoNet. And if she gets help, they'll be the first to make sure she gets on the plane and gets it. But until then, they have to wait for her to want to save herself.
Well, I'm glad he's getting a lot of love now.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.